So we took this on a trail ride yesterday, and it started to get to where you rev it up, and the rear tires don't give all the power to the bike. So I think that the CVT has slipped and messed the belt up, which is inside here. So we're going to take all this off and see what the problem is. Figured you guys want to see if you bought your kids one of these, just so you know how to fix it. But we've got to remove these bolts, well, screws, and these bolts to get this plate off, because this has to take these bolts out and pull the cover off. So you can see here, pretty simple job. These are just screws. Like I was saying, I've taken them out. They're an 8mm bolt or nut that held them on from the back. And then these are 10mm in your floor. They've already got a pre-lock nut on the bottom, so you don't have to have something to hold it. And you just take those out. You can see how they seat in there. And then you just pull that panel off. Then we can get into the CVT cover. We've got to take every one of these out of this to get in here. So this will slip over this. This is where you kickstart it. You've got your motor up here. It transfers the power into the CVT, then goes back to the transmission and sprocket. All the old foilers used to be straight drive. I don't know why they wanted to add, well, I guess so they don't have to have a real transmission in this is why, but a real transmission, even with a single gear, I guess it wouldn't have went as fast, and it wouldn't have had as good a power range, so I guess that's why they done it. But the Suzuki 80s that used to be out were phenomenal bikes. Had a straight drive, and they were way faster than this. Now, they were two-stroke, so they would blow up if you ran them, hard, whereas these four-strokes probably run forever. But the problem with these is the CVT, if you're a big person, you get on it, you'll mess the belt up. Well, let's get this off and we'll see it so you guys can understand how it works.
This motor looks
Motor's
small.
up here, see it? See your piston head?
It looks small, but we're actually going to have to take like half of this out.
Well, we're going to take this whole side out and see in here. These are 8mm, as you can see. Make sure that you have something that sits on them, because if you round one of them off, you're going to have a good time. Now, I'm using this, which works perfect. So if you don't got one of these, make sure that you've got something long enough to get in there. This just makes it faster, but we'll get this off and show you what's in here. Like I said, these are 8mm.
Do this. It's very good.
So last night we got in water. I opened this cover, and water just shot out everywhere. All over everything. So right there was the problem. So if you get this in deep water, and he didn't mean to, but last night when we went trail riding, he went off in a hole, and it sunk, it was up over the motor, and it wouldn't drive its way out. And then he tried to drive it today, and all of the water that we just opened up, look at that all on the floor, all that when we popped that cover off.
He shot it all over me!
Quit. He was sitting down here when I opened that cover. It flooded. Even look at his legs and stuff. All right, so we've got this off, or getting it off. I'll show you guys in here. See, look at there.
I didn't get on me, Dad.
So basically, we can probably... Good girl, you didn't get it on you. So you guys can see in here, look at all that water sitting in there. That's horrible on them bearings and stuff. We'll probably put white lithium. We'll get this cleaned up and get the cover and stuff cleaned. Willie, we heard you the first 7 times.
More like 100.
All right, so you can see here, this is basically what happens. This clutch, when you give it throttle, pinches. This pinches to here, and this drives this. And it runs gives you power to your rear tires through the sprocket that's all the way on the other side. But hopefully there's nothing wrong with the clutches. The belt actually looks fine, even though it slipped some in there. But I think we can dry this out, and I mean, you can see inside there. I think we can dry all this out, clean it up, put some carburetor cleaner in there, and blow the clutches out. And I think it'll be fine if it hasn't messed the clutches up in here. But basically, we'll start it up and run it with this on and see if we can get it to dry itself out. But as you guys can see, it's not that, it's not that big of a deal. This probably looks crazy to some of y'all, but this is actually relatively easy. You've got, your clutches in this, which run this, like I said, this belt. But see, if you spin those rear tires, it goes to here. But if we start this up, watch out, Wells. Watch out, quit. Don't do that one. See there? See all that water flowing out there? Now, I've got to put transmission fluid in the transmission because we drained all that. We'll have to drain the motor, drain the transmission, drain everything, and make sure that we get it. But if you guys are looking for a belt, right here is the belt that goes on it. You can kind of see the numbers on it.
I jumped out of the way. You were in the way.
707.5, 17.2, 28. Made in Japan. So it should be a pretty good belt. But like I said, I don't see anything wrong with that belt. It's just soaking wet in there. So we'll get this dried out, clean it up, and get the case cleaned up, and then see what we've got then. But I got to put fluid in the transmission. The transmission is over here on this side. Here's the filler plug right here. You can see it there. And the drain plug is on the bottom. Another thing I just want to show you guys, just in case you run it in water, one of the best things to do is definitely drain the water. So if you just want to drain the water and you don't want to take the cover off and check the belt or anything, there is a little drain plug right here. You can see it. Goes up into the bottom of the cover and comes out right there. So you can drain just the water. But whenever that happens, all that water sits in there and dries on all your parts, and then it causes rust. So you always want to make sure that you get all that out. Just my opinion. If you want to keep this for long term, then that's something you're going to want to do. So just draining it will get it off the trail. You can pull that, let all the water out, floorboard it, get this dried out. But that water dried on here will cause rust and stuff like this here. So we're going to try to clean all these up, put some white lithium on them, make sure they're dry, and then fire it back up and see what we've got. If you are going to spray anything in here, like I said, I sprayed parts cleaner all through this and all through the case and a bunch of stuff. You can see all that black and all that stuff that's run out of there. Make sure you don't pinch your gasket in between anything. Make sure it goes right in the bolt holes because that keeps dust, debris, air, all that junk out there. Another thing, everybody's gonna have their opinion on this, but when you spray all this, you can either spray just the gears with white lithium or silicone, something like this right here, or white lithium. But you don't want something that is going to collect dust. That white lithium and the silicone dry, but it gives a little lubricant to the gear and stuff because it is contacting this. But you don't want something that's going to collect dust or whatever big time, and you don't want to leave anything on your belt. Just make sure it's dry, spray it with parts cleaner, and then spray all this with parts cleaner to get your clutch packs and stuff clean, and everything should be good. Like I said, you can see how clean that case is now where it was really dirty. So now we're going to drain the transmission fully, and these transmissions, take a 7590. This is for marine, but it's still GL5, which is what it takes. This is going to be one of the best oils you can use possibly in the industry. It's full synthetic, but if you're not wanting to use this, like I said, you can use, as long as it's 7590 severe, gear oil, and it's a GL5, as you can see there. That's what's going to go in your transmission. And like I said, we're going to fill that over here, and you drain it on the bottom, and then we should be able to start it up and see how it runs. So get this filled up, get it ready, and then we'll see how it does. All right, so the reason I like these packs like this is because you can get them down in that orifice there. And see, if you, basically you fill this transmission up until it starts to run out right there, and then you cap it back. But you can't get a bottle and stuff down in there. And that's a little bitty tip, but if you've got a little funnel, it won't be any problem. But these packs are just so easy to just put in there and push the fluid in. Like I said, this is for the transmission, and we're gonna fill it up and then run it. So you can see here, the clutches are back behind there, and watch, whenever I give it throttle, this back plate will drive out and pinch that belt. Same way this shifts in and out, giving you your speed. But everything seems to be working fine now. So now we just got to change the motor oil in it, make sure that's all good. That transmission was full of water. This was full of water, just complete mess. So like I said, if you're gonna drive these on the trail and your boy likes to play in the water, you're gonna have to do a lot of maintenance on these, because if this gets water in it, then it gets in here, like I said, and it'll rust all this. So you want to get that out of there as soon as possible and make sure that everything is still functioning properly. Also, when you go to put this clutch cover back on, do not use an impact on these. I just want to clarify that in case someone got on there and seen me take it off. I never use an impact to put bolts back on, because one, these are not for a ton of pressure, but two, they're little bitty bolts, and each one of these needs proper pressure to hold that in place properly. And this is all aluminum, so you don't want to try to run that in and then crack the case or bust the head off or anything like that. I just use my hand, put the socket on there and run it all the way up tight, and then take a wrench and just put just a little bit of pressure on it. I just wanted to clarify that. Other than that, like I said, your transmission now has fluid in it. This has a cover on, so now we're going to drain the motor, put new fluid in the motor, and then see if it has fixed our problem. If not, then the clutches are bad in here, but they seem fine. But they also didn't have someone on it to cause, more weight for it to have to pull. The more weight you put on these bikes, and that's why, I wouldn't recommend a bike like this long term for any kid over, probably what it says, 90 pounds, because every time you slip that belt or you slip those clutches, it's going to create issues inside here. All right, so prior, what this would do, and I should have shot video on it so people would kind of understand what they were looking for, but he would, when we first got this, it would run about 15 to 20 mile per hour. So he took it on the trail, got it in a lot of water, and what happened is when he got to trying to drive it after that, it would just rev really high, but it would only get up to like 8, 9 mile per hour, 7 mile per hour. That's as fast as it would go. So like I said, we drained all the water, changed all the fluids, checked the clutches, put the belt. The clutches might be bad, but they seem fine. Now that we got pressure on it, I'm gonna let him drive it and see how it does.
Can you take video of
Yeah. Hey, baby doll, what you doing? You look cute. You spazzazzed. So I can tell already that it's fine now. It wouldn't take off hardly at all. And usually if you've got water in there or you've got a belt slipping or something like that, usually it will rev really high before it moves at all. But you can see there it is going just fine now. So pretty simple fix. Hopefully that helps some of you. When I looked on the internet, I didn't see any video of this, and a dealership would probably charge you between I don't know, probably $400 to $1,000 to do something like that. Took me maybe 2 hours to drain all the fluids and everything. Wouldn't have took as long if I wasn't trying to video everything. I just was zipping through it. But kind of give you guys an idea. Yeah, he's skeeting. Hey! What'd you find, baby? Oh, we found a little rock. How's that feel? Is that a lot better? Feel brand new? He named it Jumpy. But you can see as soon as he hits the throttle, it takes off. So the clutches are engaging properly, the belt's not slipping, and that thing is, you can hear the motor as it revs, it moves. Anytime your RPM range... Yeah, hold on a minute. Anytime in your RPM range, if you rev the throttle and it doesn't move along with the throttle, so the higher your RPM, the faster you should go, because the harder that clutch is engaging that I showed you guys, and that makes it move. So at any point, if there's like a throttle given point and then it doesn't move, you're either slipping the belt, the clutches, or you don't have proper engagement with the RPM and the pack on the front. So both of those have, it's just a centrifugal clutch. Anyway, hope that helps you guys.